We're live from number 35 John Hammond Street in Accra. Hello, good afternoon to you and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927 plus on 3news.com. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. In the bulletin this afternoon, interdicted union executives of the Tema Oil Refinery kick against the management decision to have them step aside over allegations of leaking details of Tor's deal with Torrentco. We'll bring you details in our bulletin. Also, controversy surrounding a purported redevelopment of Judicial Service bungalows refuses to go away as Assistant Central MP Kennedy Japan maintains Works and Housing Minister attempted to acquire a deceased Supreme Court judge property. We'll be getting the details also in the bulletin. Plus, governing MPP races against time to resolve pending appeal cases barely 10 days to the party's parliamentary primaries. Meanwhile, with campaigning heating up, we put the spotlight on some hot spots to watch out for during the primaries. We have details of these stories and a lot more coming to you shortly. Please stay with us.
FM 92.7.
Welcome to the program. Let's settle for the details of the stories this afternoon. Interdicted union executives of the Tema Oil Refinery, they are this afternoon kicking against the management decision to have them step aside over allegations of leaking details of the refinery's deal with Torrentco. The management has accused Sewa Duncan Williams and Anthony Kimsing of leaking sensitive details of the now abandoned deal which courted disaffection for the company. Well, that accusation is, however, being challenged by the leadership of the workers' union, who argue the action is tantamount to abuse of power. Now, this is a subject that my colleague George Quaining is following up on, and we will be getting in touch with him shortly to bring us updates on this very development of the Tema Oil Refinery. We want to ask him a few questions. What has been the response of the two executives to the interdiction? Also, his interactions with the mother union, the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Union, how they are receiving this information. But in the meantime, let's bring you some other stories, taking you to the Ashanti region now, where another case of politics is in place. The race for the Bantama ticket of the governing party is bound to be the hottest in the constituency. There are fears the nature of the race could lead to cracks, not within the constituency, but in the party, after Central MP and Flag-bearer hopeful Kennedy Japan opened fresh fire again on the incumbent Member of Parliament, Francis Asenso-Boakye. Well, after accusations of land grabbing, which has forced the Works and Housing Ministry into a series of statements explaining ongoing development, Kennedy Japan says he will stop at nothing until Asenso-Boakye loses his seat. This is a subject that William Evans Inkum is following up on in the Ashanti region. Now, you remember that Kennedy Japan, while campaigning for his brother Ralph Japan to unseat the incumbent Bantama Member of Parliament in the person of Asenso-Boakye, made some serious allegations. First of all, with some bribery allegations that Kennedy Japan made against the housing minister. Then also another allegation that Asenso-Boakye was also working to take over late Supreme Court judge's property. Now, this is generating a lot of conversation in the Ashanti region. The Ashanti region, the World Bank of the NPP and the Bantama constituency, one of the safest seats of the NPP going into every election since 1992. But will this issue just go away and what has been happening since Kennedy-Japan last spoke. William Evans-Inkum is joining us. Good afternoon to you, William. Bantama will just not go away. What has been happening since Kennedy-Japan last spoke?
Well, it will just not go away because this morning, Kennedy-Japan spat another venom on Asenso Abuache, even warning the ministry that if they continue to come out with reaction, then he will not hesitate to come out with more expose as far as the alleged, grabbing of lands is concerned. His voice, or kind of a statement, I must say that it's also sparking some level of controversy as far as Bantama constituency is concerned. And my engagement with some of the executives this morning, they are worried that more fire from him will cause more disaffection, not only to the party, but even in the constituency, but even to the party general performance going into the 2024 election. So these are some of the concerns that have been raised by some of the constituent, of course, the constituency executives, as far as latest happening or recent happenings in Bantama constituency is concerned.
Right, Evans, finally, about how aspirants are wrapping up their various campaigns in other constituencies in the Ashanti region. How is that going?
Well, to call it finish hard approach, especially the hotspots, Bantama, Ishiayeso, Bekwai, Kwadaso, Ahafano Southeast, and just to mention a few. They are vehemently on the ground trying to convince delegates, especially in the case of Adansi Asokwa. It is not that, one would say, an easy one for the Minister of Trade and Industry, K.T. Hammond. He's also very strong on the ground campaigning. Benfo, his old foe, is also very strong on the ground. And their campaign message has been very simple. In fact, some of them are even going beyond the fortunes of the party. That is, should the party lose the 2024 elections, what are they going to do to also bring some development to the constituency? So they are going beyond the party's possibility of staying in power to convince delegates that, given the nod, they will also change the narrative.
Evans, thank you so much for your time with us on the program. William Evans-Inkum joined us from the Ashanti region, updating us on happenings, particularly in the Bantama constituency there. Now, we're still staying in the Ashanti region as we bring you some more stories on midday on 3FM 92.7. You are live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927 plus on 3news.com. You can also be a major part of the program if you reach to us on any of our social media platforms at 3FM 927. We'll be glad to share your thoughts with the rest of the world. Let's bring you some other stories in the bulletin this afternoon. Taking you to some other pertinent issues happening in the country, this time away from the political arena, because some trending issues in the country, and we'll bring you the details, but we're still staying with some issues, if you like, on the political arena. The controversy surrounding government's decision to redevelop lands previously housing bungalows belonging to the Supreme Court judges is not likely to end anytime soon. While the Works and Housing Ministry had earlier in a statement dismissed claims by Ascent Central MP Kennedy-Japan that the minister, Francis Asenso Boakye, had attempted to acquire one of the properties but was stopped by the Chief Justice. The Ascent Central MP, whose brother is contesting the minister in the upcoming primaries, is not backing down and maintains the minister attempted to acquire the property. Well, we've seen a copy of an agreement between the Works and Housing Ministry and the Judicial Service, and here are some of the details in this response. According to the response, the agreement was signed on 17th April 2023, and that was last year, 17th February 2023, and that was last year. Another mention also is the ministry is to take possession of 2 properties allocated to Judicial Service located at Onyasia Close around Roman Ridge area. Plus, the ministry is to provide temporary accommodation for 2 judges during redevelopment. Then, upon completion, the Judicial Service will be giving 4 bungalows. Plus, agreement expires upon completion of construction of the 4 properties. These are some of the happenings in this latest development concerning the Central Member of Parliament, also the mention of the housing minister there. This is the controversy surrounding government's decision to redevelop lands previously housing bungalows belonging to the Supreme Court judges, and that is not likely. This is still 3FM 92.7. We're live also on all our social media platforms at 3FM 927 plus on 3news.com. Reminder that you're a big part of the show. Please join us on our social media platforms. But away from that, despite getting a degree, many young people are still finding it difficult to get a job here in Ghana. Based on records from the Ghana Statistical Service, the unemployment rate in the second quarter of 2022 stood at 13.9%, making youth unemployment undoubtedly a big challenge. Well, we'll tell you the story of Paul Kadan, a graduate from the University of Ghana, who may seem to have found his true calling after experiencing years of rejection. Let's speak with my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, joining us with some more details. Ibrahim, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been paying attention to this situation. How is that in the Ashanti region?
I am very, very down here, and a lot of the graduates or young graduates, I would say, are really, really frustrated. Most of them had high hopes of securing job opportunities immediately after the 1-year mandatory service. But for some of them, it's been 3 years, 4 years. They are still applying for jobs and they are not getting it. So now what most of them are doing is to accept low-paying informal jobs so that they will be able to survive while they are also applying to see whether luck will shine on them. Others have also decided not to apply for jobs again. They are trying to put something together so that they will be.
Ibrahim, can you hear me? Unfortunately,
and doing everything possible, putting together some funds just to be able to get the opportunity and leave the country. So it is a very, very dark situation here in the Ashanti region when it comes to graduate unemployment.
Close to 7 years now. Yeah, since I started searching for white-collar job. You know, after my service, I tried a few companies sending my CVs to them personally, walking, you know, on the streets of Accra, you know, Circle areas and some other areas. Sent my CVs there personally, and I was expecting that they would call me, but none of them called at the time. You know, none of them called. Mine was even worse after I was just about completing my service, because that was when my dad passed on. During the funeral, the money I received as donations, I thought it wise not to just spend it, but to get myself a camera to start something, so that I wouldn't be, you know, redundant in the house. Some people who are close to you, even though with a little skepticism, they will still approach you and then say, "Oh, be trying with me. You know, just take this for me," and then I will give you something. Sometimes you don't even name your price. They will say they will give you something. So when you are done, then that's something. It's like hand to mouth. You can't save, you can't pay bills, you can't nothing.
And that is the story of Paul Cadden, a graduate from the University of Ghana, who may have seemed to have found his true calling after experiencing 7 years of rejection from companies. I still have with me Ibrahim Abubakar, also on the line with some more update. Ibrahim, if you can hear me, talk to us more about the findings on this very dire situation in the Ashanti region. Unfortunately, we lost Ibrahim Abubakar from the Ashanti region there. We'll try and reconnect with him and bring you details in a subsequent bulletins. But to some other stories this afternoon, residents of border town Gonokrom and the Bono region have expressed satisfaction with security arrangements being implemented since the African Cup of Nations took off in neighboring Cote d'Ivoire. This comes following reports of possible terror attacks during the competition, with suspected terrorists said to be posing as football fans to gain access to these areas. Claude Kumi-Abisa is in the area. He will join us with some more updates on the happenings in particularly Ivory Coast in relation to the terror attacks there. Claude, thank you so much for joining us. We have you on the line now. First of all, tell us about the security arrangements and a bit more on what residents have been saying.
I'm currently at the Gonokrom border in the Bono region. And as you can see, there are the police officers here, the custom officers are here, as well as the GRA. They are here manning the borders of this country to ensure that there is no infiltration of bad people who would either cross into our country or leave this country to cause any form of mayhem. So currently, this place is being manned by this security. They are ensuring that there is absolute security here to ensure that the AFCON comes to a successful end. Anything that will cause the AFCON not to move on as expected is being curtailed.
People are going very well. Like yesterday, Ghana match, people are going very well. So many buses. Our village was very populated. The security issue is very well here because of the immigration, customs, soldiers. There are too many. So about the security system, everything is well.
Security was very tight, and
security personnel are on high alert. This place is far from Abidjan, and a lot of people are staying indoors to watch the matches or only step out to watch with others.
Match.
This place is safe. If you bring trouble, you will be arrested. A number of buses left to watch the Ghana game, but the defeat has dampened the spirit of residents.
Right, thank you so much, Claude Kumi-Abisa, for joining us with those updates from the Gonokrom and the Bono region, as the residents expressing satisfaction with security arrangements over the scare of terrorist attacks there. Now, back to an earlier story, we're taking you to some labor-related matters as interdicted union executives of the Tema Oil Refinery the other afternoon kicking against the management decision to have them step aside over allegations of leaking details of TOR's deal with Torrentco. The management has accused Sewa Duncan Williams and Anthony Kumsing of leaking sensitive details of the now abandoned deal, which courted disaffection for the company. That accusation, however, is being challenged by the leadership of the workers' union, who argue the action is an abuse of power. George Queening is joining us with some more details. George, good afternoon to you. Talk to us. What has been the response of the two executives to the interdiction?
So thanks for having me, Crosby. And I'm actually coming to you live from the NAT Hall. And in one of the conference rooms, the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union is having an emergency meeting. So after this very meeting, we'll know exactly their next line of action if these two are not reinstated immediately. So I spoke to Jojo Kumsin, and he is the union leader of the senior staff of TOR. Sewa, the other person has been interdicted is the union leader of the junior staff. So speaking to Jojo on phone, he says this is not going to keep him silent. He's been pursuing this for a very long time. He's been so vocal about this. And for him, this is to sideline them so the management or the top board pursues the agenda. And for them, all the activities of the top management is fraudulent. So this is their state. They are exposing all these, and it's a reason the board is not comfortable about their actions. That's why they've been interdicted. But the union, that is the General Transport Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union, are also supporting the wardens of these members of the S. They are also supporting them, and they are going to ensure that they are reinstated immediately. So Bernard Owusu, who is the national chairman, said, if it were to be other jurisdiction, I say abroad or anywhere, these two would have been, even lauded for the action, because if it was not for them, we didn't have gotten some of these confidential information. For him, even some of the information were not confidential, they were open, because the energy minister somewhere last year in March ordered management of Tor to make the deal, there was the name, the deal, to the members or to the workers, so that they know what exactly the deal entails. And I remember I was part of that very meeting last year, March. It was the minister, Dr. Matthew Pope, who directed the management to give the deal to the workers to know what exactly it entails. So some of these things that the board is saying that has been confidential information were open. So they will do everything possible to ensure they are reinstated. These are the concerns of the union, as it stands.
George, thank you so much for joining us with those updates. George Queening speaking with us there. To some politics now. The New Patriotic Party is racing against time to resolve all petitions and appeal cases ahead of the upcoming parliamentary primaries. The governing party has slated its parliamentary primaries in constituencies with sitting MPs for January 27. Now, with barely 10 days to the event, the party's vetting appeals committee is yet to give an outcome of its hearings. This process is the final leg to pave way for balloting and printing of ballot papers. However, that process could stall in some constituencies as several aspirants are yet to know their fate. The National Executive Committee, meanwhile, will be meeting on Wednesday on these and other matters connected to the primaries. And Price MP, for instance, David Opokwansa, is asking the party to consider allowing polling station officers who would not be available ahead of the primaries to vote via proxy. Exactly what is the party doing to resolve these and more issues? Duke Mensa Opoko has been following up and joins us in the studio with a bit more. Duke, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. You've been finding out a bit more about the work of the Appeals Committee and the National Executive Committee of the NPP. What more do we know?
So what we know is that everything would be determined at that crucial National Executive Council NEC meeting tomorrow, where you have everybody meeting to take a decision, right? Take a decision in relation to the matters that are being determined for election. So, for instance, you know that in two constituencies after the vetting, the matters have been referred to the National Executive Committee. That's the NEC, right? So, issues in Shaiso, as well as the issues in Shaiso and Ekrapim South, that's Obi Amos constituency, have all been referred to NEC. So NEC will make a determination on that matter tomorrow, that crucial meeting that is happening tomorrow. They will also review various reports from the vetting committees that went to the regions, as well as look at what should happen in case, the people still have grievances. Will they trigger their constitutional provisions to get them to leave the party if people decide to run independent and all of those things? So at the end of tomorrow's meeting, we will know really where the NPP stands in relation to that. If they want to change the date, that may have to go to National Council, which is the highest decision-making body absent of the annual delegates conference.
Right, Duke, let's pay attention to the Greater Accra region as we zero in on the happenings of the NPP. Which seats have the highest stakes?
So the Greater Accra region, politically speaking, now has 34 seats. The NDC has 20, which means the NDC has the highest number of seats here, and the NPP has 14, so there's a difference of 6, right? Now, out of these 14 constituencies, we've done our own research, we've done our own quantitative and qualitative analysis, qualitative looking at the trends, the historicity, and the candidates and all of that, and quantitative looking at the numbers as well, and the statistics. So we'll pick out four constituencies, right? We'll pick out the hottest in our view, per the work that we've done, per our research and all, is the Dom Kwabenya constituency. Dom Kwabenya areas such as Taifa, Dome, Kwabenya, and all, atomic energy, all that side. That is Dom Kwabenya for you. The two contestants, this will be a rematch for them. Not the two contestants, actually 3 contestants, but the key contenders are 2, Michael Kwe Jr. and Adjo Asafo. Adjo Asafo being the incumbent. Adjo Asafo has gone through a very rough patch in this this tenure of hers in Parliament. She had to relinquish her seat as the Minister for Gender and Children Affairs. She took an leave without absence in Parliament, leave without permission, in Parliament for close to 2 years. I mean, always bringing up issues even about whether there was some impersonation and all of that. So it's really been heated for her. Last time the two of them met, the Speaker of Parliament, who is the father of the other contender, Ambassador Michael Kwe. At that time, Ambassador Michael Kwe was High Commissioner to India. Today, he is Director General of the Free Zones Authority, right? And he's coming back, making a stake again. Has he been able to infiltrate the constituency, the delegates, while Madam Adjo Asafo was away in America, tending to family issues and all of that, and the fact that she abandoned the constituency? So, the plot is very thick in Dom Kwabenya, and all eyes would definitely be watching Dom Kwabenya. And Dom Kwabenya is easily one of is the largest constituency in the country,
right? With
close to 200,000 voters. So it's a very huge constituency in the scheme of things for the NPP, not only parliamentary but also presidential as well, right? The second one for us would be Ayawaso Central, right? Just nearby. Ayawaso Central would be Seko, Caprice, Alajo, that area. That is Ayawaso Central. It's between Henry Korte and the former youth organizer of the NDC. I said NDC, the MPP, that is Moses Sabo, right? What makes this contest, ordinarily shouldn't have been an interesting contest. What makes it interesting is that the political godfather of the constituency, who himself was MP for a number of years, Sheikh Ibrahim Kujokwe, the man they call Agbena, right? Now he is the political godfather of that constituency. Virtually held the hand of Henry Korte to become member of Parliament. There's a fallout between the two of them. The two of them are falling out, and there is a huge crack between the two of them, to the extent that Isikwe is now backing Moses Sabo to beat Henry Korte.
Right.
Yes, and he's been campaigning vigorously on the platform of Moses Sabo for Isikwe, for Henry Korte to be ousted. Here's what he's been saying.
I brought somebody from nowhere, and I gave all my support. I came out actually to sponsor him and ask all of them, Honorable Moses and all that, and so I said, step down. This is not your time. Wait, your time will come. They listened to me, and then they stood down for Henry. But what happened is that instead of actually carrying on with actually the policies that I left, but the policies are rather directed against me. So I'm saying that 3 times is enough. Is enough.
Well, that's the voice of Sheikh Isikwe there. Duke, some interesting revelations.
Yeah, said he sponsored him. I use the word held his hand. Actually he sponsored him.
That makes some difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
So apart from these constituencies, are they?
Yes, Wage Agbawe. That's just an interesting one. A perennial contender in Ablekuma South, in the person of Jerry Ahmed Shah. He's also Director for Coastal Development Authority. He is left Ablekuma South, will be contesting Wage Agbawe, contested against a very strong incumbent who's been MP, who managed to oust the inaugural MP for that constituency. We're talking about Tina Naile Mensah. So Tina Mensah will be going head to head with Jerry Ahmed Shaib. Interesting one. Then the last one would be Ablekuma North, which is not so far from Wage Agbawe. Ablekuma North has Sheila Battles as the member of Parliament, but she took over the constituency from Nana Akua-Free. Now Nana Akua-Free is making a comeback. She has been speaking, saying that Sheila Batells has not really done much. But Sheila Batells also from political royalty. Sheila Batells' dad was one of the first MPs for Blakema North.
Right.
So it sets the tone for a very interesting competition in Blakema North as well.
Still with us here on 3FM 92.7. We are your election command center, also on all affiliates across the country. My name is Noble Crosby Annan. That's it for the news on midday on 3FM 92.7. Business News is up next with Juliana Menuafo. Good afternoon.